Wwang cried and went to the camp. Her fiancé met her on the way and told her it was getting late and cold outside. It was time to go into the tent and rest. The girl crying said that Chu was right. Chuyun still didn't understand why his fiancé was crying. The guy gave her a glance and realized that she was crying because of Luin Chang. Chuyun decided that he would definitely deal with this rascal tomorrow. Everyone went to their tents for the night. Wwang decided to undress before going to bed. She took off all her clothes. Thought tomorrow should go well? The next morning came. The young men saw that many wild animals had gathered. The beasts looked at the aliens and there was hostility in their eyes. Chuyun said that there was a group of demonic beasts in front of them. As soon as they get close to the mountain range, the beasts will start attacking them. We must be ready to fight. The young man added that the mercenaries would rush in first to create a distraction. At that time, they would be able to reach the mountain range. That's what happened. The beasts attacked the men. The people fought back. The adepts used their techniques and combat skills to confront the demonic beasts in their territory. And now the animals are behind us. The passageway is open. A mountain range opened up before the travelers and they saw a cave. A beast emerged from the cave, or rather its huge white paw. Everyone froze in anticipation. A very huge white tiger appeared from the cave. He roared and moved straight at the young men. The beast opened its mouth and everyone could see its huge white fangs. The roar echoed throughout the neighborhood. It was so powerful that everyone tried to cover themselves as if from the wind. Chuyun ordered to go on the attack, according to the plan he had devised, and everyone drew their blades. Screaming, they rushed at this demonic beast, but the forces were unequal. The tiger scattered the attackers like kittens. Chuyun ordered his soldiers to retreat. He said that this monster could not be defeated. All of them could die. Everyone agreed and began a chaotic retreat. Mujun began to assist in the retreat of his bride. He put his arm around her shoulders. Luin Chang realized that he had a chance. The young man crept stealthily toward the slain white wolf. He took out his hunting knife. He stripped and skinned the animal. The guy put that skin on himself. He got down on the ground and pretended to be a wolf. He decided that as long as there was chaos around, he would seize the moment and make his way to the ridge. The bride and groom continued to retreat with vigor. The woods were coming into view. Salvation was so close at hand. The girl looked around and realized that not everyone was retreating. She told Chuyun that Luin Chang was gone. He's gone. The groom said that the young man had left. If he ever tried to touch his bride again, he would pay with his head. He slapped his servant and said that he could not keep track of even one person. Mujun beat the servant and told him to get lost. Wwang looked at her fiancé with consternation. Her sister stopped Chu and said it was excessive punishment. She added that Luin Chang could kill one of the animals and no one would know about it. Mujun interrogated what she meant. Ta replied that it was nothing concrete, it was just imagination. At this time, our brave hero was still in the skin of the white wolf. He thought that Chuyun and his team were currently fighting against the demonic white tiger. They didn't care about him. In a conflict between two parties, the benefit always goes to a third party. Even in his previous life, he had never had to face such a situation. Xincheng found the secret entrance to the cave. There was a tree growing there. It was the Devil's Tears tree. There was a huge fruit on the tree. The young man was ready to pluck the fruit. He thought something was wrong. Everything living has a soul. This tree couldn't just grow to such a huge size and bear fruit of such extraordinary size. There must be something else. The young man picked up the stone. He threw a stone into the lake that was directly in front of the tree. A giant monster stingray jumped out of the water. Who would have thought there would be a stingray? Its lightning strikes are very powerful, as well as its incredibly strong gills, with the help of which it sprays out jets of water that can easily penetrate ordinary armor. The young man determined with an expert eye that it was a level 7 stingray monster. He had no chance of defeating this beast. They exchanged glances and the guy understood. Xincheng said that this thing was originally meant to be used against Wwang. It has the ability to make the human body completely soften. If used on animals, it will induce heat. It should work. The young man realized that the demonic white tiger had been destroyed. Chuyun and his team were already following here. Luin Chang decided to see how things would develop further. The whole team came running to the lake near the tree. Everyone saw the tree and wanted to pick the fruit faster. One of them commanded forward and everyone ran toward the tree. Chuyun, slow down your fighters. The young man only grinned. Those who touched the water were imbued with a charge of electricity. It was unpleasant and very painful. Those who didn't make it to the lake were killed by a column of water, carefully directed by a slope right at their targets. Some disappeared into the jaws of the bloodthirsty animal. The stingray showed itself out of the water and its mouth was leaking the blood of the poor guy who had been swallowed by it. Then the animal disappeared under the water. The injured man asked He Jujan for help. No one rescued him. The young man watched indifferently as his servant massacred the wounded man. The servant turned to He Jujan. He called the one as the seventh elder and asked what to do now. Luin Chang noted that the leader is called the seventh elder of the sword sect. He Jujan had his own plan, painted and approved in advance. The stingray floated to the surface with dead soldiers floating around it. The elder said that while he was distracting the stingray, we should stretch the nets. He said to wait for the monster to appear. Then he'll use the blood jasper bracelet attack. You don't have to hold on too long and then you can pick the fruit. The girl on his team yelled out that the net was ready. The net was stretched and prepared to catch a stingray. The elder flew over the lake, emitting streams of energy. He threw the ring into the water and activated the secret option. A powerful stream of charged energy was directed into the lake. It was all meant for the stingray monster. A huge stingray jumped out of the water. Everyone was frightened by its size. The hunters set a trap on the beast. The net was stretched very tight. The warriors held it with all their might. At this time, He Jujan reached for the fruit on the tree. He thought he finally had the prized fruit in his hands. This is his beauty. The young man was about to quietly sneak out of the cave. Just then, a glowing cloud appeared above everyone. It was the stingray soul. The stingray soul that came out is at the 10th level. That's why it was able to destroy everyone. The elder realized that he had blundered. He had put his disciples in danger. He was very angry. The soul stingray was moving towards him. The confrontation was impossible to avoid. The elder released his martial energy. His firebird swept toward the slope. Two mighty forces clashed in a confrontation. The stingray bared its sharp teeth, its eyes burning like glowing embers. He Jujan held a 7th-level magical weapon in his hands. The fight against the monster was heated. The elder countered with all his techniques and skills against the water elemental monster. Luin Chang realized that it would be impossible for an elder to defeat a 10-level monster. Something happened. It was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. Due to the damage from the stingray attack, the image change magic had stopped working. He Jujan turned out to be a girl and a master of sea magic. Now the girl thought the monster was too powerful. But now that she had what she wanted, she had to get out of here. The girl turned around and headed for the cave exit. The girl saw the wolf and wondered how it could have gotten into the stingray's territory. The white wolf was watching from behind the bushes. He Jujan thought that someone was sitting in ambush and watching. She decided to use the magic ring that helped her deal with the stingray. Luin Chang didn't want to react and thus give himself away under the skin of a wild animal. Ring had already patched up the wolf when Luin Chang's puppet Luin Chang reacted to it. Doll decided to kick that magic ring away. The puppet had succeeded. In front of He Jujan, the puppet and the young man stood under the skin of a wild animal. Luin Chang realized that hiding was already pointless and took off his cover. Luin Chang moved towards He Jujan and the girl recognized him. It's that kid from the Sun and Moon sect. The girl decided that if the Sun and Moon sect found out that she had reduced her disciples to the grave, there would be unnecessary trouble. He Jujan, harboring ill will, greeted the young man. A sly sparkle flashed in her eyes. The girl was preparing for an attack. Luin Chang, approaching her, thought that this was all strange somehow. She was cultivating too fast, but her foundations are unstable. She was so engrossed in the ability of the magic sea that she lost touch with reality. The young man decided that nothing good should be expected from this girl. Running up to He Jujan, Luin Chang prepared to strike. The girl didn't want to die in that cave. Suddenly, that huge monster stingray jumped out of the lake. It was unexpected. Luin Chang realized that they would deal with each other later. Right now, they should join forces to deal with the common problem. Luin Chang shouted to the girl to hurry up and unblock the lightning discharge. The stingray could release a triple electric charge, and if it wasn't stopped, things would end badly for them. The girl looked questioningly at the young man. There was a mute question in her eyes, whether she could trust him. He Jujan drew her battle weapon and prepared to defend against the monster. The young men prepared to repel the stingray's attack, its electrical charge. Suddenly, the girl saw something on the ground. It was a trap net. She instantly grabbed the net and skillfully threw it straight at the beast. The beast was trapped. He was restrained, and the next thing to do was to act without delay. He Jujan desperately began to pull the net taut to completely block all the movements of the trapped stingray. The monster tried to fight back, growling and showing its sharp teeth, thus striking fear into the young men. Luin Chang and his puppet also decided to take part in this monster hunt. The doll showed her sharp metal nails and prepared to attack. She wanted to dig her nails right into the wild animal's body. but her fingers slipped. Luin Chang thought that this stingray's body was very slippery. It could level 80% of their attack. We should do something differently. There's not much time left before the next monster attack. The best strategy now is to run away. The monster ripped the nets and launched another attack. Dangerous jets of water flew toward the young men. Luin Chang decided that it was too late to retreat. A new strategy had to be employed. A bright flash appeared, illuminating the entire cave. Luin Chang noted that because of the water dragon's light armor, it wasn't badly injured. The young man saw the stingray lying motionless on the shore of the lake. Why did it suddenly die? The boy thought that the stingray had used a temporary enhancement stroke before its death. A girl named Chuyun sat on the shore of the lake and looked at the body of the motionless animal in confusion. Luin Chang leisurely walked over to her. The young lady, again harboring something unkind, decided to use on the young man one of the most insidious devices that always impress men. The girl started rolling her eyes and making moaning noises. She told the young man that something was happening to her, like her body was on fire. Chuyun said that she was very hot. Her trick was starting to work. The young man thought the girl was really sick. She had been hit by the water jet, and now the effects of the blow began to spread throughout her body. Luin Chang decided that he would be as solid as a rock in the wind and not give any sign. The guy muttered something. He was the one who recited the mantra of great compassion. Chuyun said that in this state, she couldn't leave the cave. The people outside might turn out to be very bad. They might treat her badly, use her body, humiliate her, then destroy her, and then take all the treasures. The girl said that although the young man was self-serving in her opinion, he was not so cruel. The young lady, to consolidate her success, blushed and cried. 100% effect on men. Chuyun stood in front of the guy all defenseless and alone. Luin Chang looked at her with a male protector's gaze. There was no chance for him to resist. Her gaze, looking upward, asked for help and protection. Her eyes were like two oceans. You could drown in them. And the final blow. She invited him to her place, tonight. Just me and you, said the girl timidly. Luin Chang didn't wait until the evening. He bent over the girl right now. Her eyes beckoned. The boy drowned in them irrevocably. For the young people, this cave turned out to be a place where a miracle happens. A dog barking was heard outside. An hour later, the young people were sleeping peacefully, embraced. The girl was cured. The young man rested with a sense of accomplishment. He realized that he had driven the fever from the young lady's body. The wily Chuyun opened his eyes. While Luin Chang was sleeping peacefully after his therapy session, the lady decided to apply her magic ring to him. She brought it up to the face of the unsuspecting young man. The young lady sighed, closing her eyes. She probably remembered what had happened between them. The lady turned around and began to clean herself up. Chuyun dressed up and transformed into a diligent disciple of her sect. The girl looked at the guy and wondered what to do with him. Destroy him now? Or give him a chance? She decided to keep him. But if what happened tonight became somehow known to other people, she would destroy him. The girl added so he wouldn't even think of looking for her. They were from different worlds and it wouldn't work out. As compensation, the girl left the guy a life-extending healing elixir. Chuyun left. The silhouette of her frail body disappeared into the opening of the cave. Luin Chang sadly watched her leave. He wanted to remain her doctor forever. The guy pushed the unnecessary thoughts away, jumped up and thought he was ready to destroy her, but suddenly she decided to let him go. Luin Chang tasted the liquid from the vial and concluded that, contrary to expectations, this elixir had a powerful effect. He decided it was a great favor. 5 days later, Luin Chang was meditating in his room. He was still remembering his adventures in the cave. Chuyun turned out to be a good person and divided the loot among everyone. He left the Muyun Chu sect. In Ni Yuan's presence, he drank a pill and was healed. Our hero thought he could still make it to the Confucius temple for the heroes' meeting, and then the young man heard someone demanding him to get out quickly. A woman's foot swung open the door to the room. The meditation process had to be postponed. Wwang decided to put things in order and clarify where Luin Chang was going. The girl asked where the guy hides his loot. He replied that they knew better, and added that while they want to deal with him, someone can deal with Tao's brother. The girl looked at him angrily. Seeing his old hair, she thought he was able to get back to his old life. The girl wasn't alone. Her brother and her fiancé had come. They were all determined. Luin Chang realized that the day was no longer languid. The young man decided that it was worth it to dot all the I's at once so that there would be no misunderstandings in the future. The aliens understood Luin Chang's intention, but it was too late. The guy punched one of the comers in the chest. The one shouted that he shouldn't have been sent to the other side of the world. Luin Chang retracted his hand and everyone saw that the injured man had a gaping hole with blood spurting out. Our hero replied that it was his own fault and he started it first. The girl was very angry. She said that Luin Chang shouldn't do that to a disciple of the same sect he was a member of. I'll have to tell the sect leader. Wwang shouted for Luin Chang to leave. She will try to detain everyone. Killing a fellow sect disciple is a crime that carries the death penalty. Luin Chang shouted for her to shut up. The girl was very taken aback by the guy yelling at her. He said they had nothing in common and he didn't need her sympathy. She was the reason their marriage broke up. The young man added that there was no relationship between them, and he told her to get out of his sight. The girl whispered sadly that he couldn't forgive her even once. She said he was wrong too, why he didn't want to practice and was acting like a lowlife. The confrontation continued. The guy said that by pretending to be pathetic he noticed everything. Luin Chang called the girl cheap. He was inexperienced and didn't know that girls shouldn't be treated like that. Chuyun walked over to his fiancé and tried to calm her down. The effect was different. Did she shout that he still had time to feel sorry for others? Don't let him think they're even. And she slapped him. The blow was so strong that my cheek immediately swelled and blood gushed from my mouth. Next, things didn't go according to plan. Luin Chang's puppet Luin Chang intervened and moved to Chuyun's back as well. Luin Chang decided to put a stop to it and kicked the groom in the chest, shouting for him to get away. Mujin was surprised by the behavior of those around him and flew off into the distance. Our hero, having thus let off steam, calmed down a little and asked if Mujin wanted to ask for his forgiveness. Sister Wwang looked at the dead classmate, the crying sister, the beaten Chuyun, and didn't understand who should apologize to whom. She would definitely not forgive Luin Chang for this. Chuyun came to his senses a little and began to threaten the young man with some sort of reprisal. Then everyone left to go their separate ways. Luin Chang tried to calm down and sat down to meditate again, but he realized that it would be extremely difficult to get his thoughts in order and practice after what had happened. He decided that he needed to rest. An hour later, the guy heard someone outside calling him a rascal. He went out and saw many people who had come for his soul. The young man was addressed by an elder. The elder saw the change in the young man and asked, was it true that he was able to be reborn? The guy answered in the affirmative and added that he was able to obtain the fruit of longevity by chance. Thanks to that, he was able to be reborn. He took Ni Yuan as his witness. Ni Yuan immediately confirmed that this young man had taken some sort of healing elixir in front of him and had regained his youth before his eyes. The sect elder looked at him suspiciously. This new information changed the case altogether. He ordered Luin Chang to be taken to the Council of Elders. Sister Wwang told Luin Chang to hurry up and tell Brother Tao about the incident. Luin Chang said that he didn't know anything like that, but even if he did, he wouldn't tell a freak like her. The girl was ready to destroy him for such words. The elder stopped her and told her to stop. The young lady was upset. Even the second elder is defending this guy. The elder said not to pursue her, she just needs to calm down. The grand elder told everyone to go about their business. The disciples of the sword sect arrived at the foot of the mountain and set up camp. Tomorrow is the day of the competition. We need to rest and receive the guests. Everyone began to disperse. Luin Chang was puzzled. The second elder's attitude towards him was ambiguous. He seemed to have come to arrest the guy, but he was polite to him. In the Council of Elders, Luin Chang was asked to sit down. The young man was told that the sect had always taken care of its disciples. Ancestors always allowed disciples to refine cultivation outside of the sect. The elders know that Jiming has repeatedly tried to frame Luin Chang, therefore his death will in no way fall on the young man. The second elder said that they have been thinking about it and he has decided to have the young man come to the place where he lives tomorrow. He wants Luin Chang to become his inner disciple and perfect his cultivation. And then the elders started interrupting each other and arguing over whose disciple Luin Chang should become. The guy was puzzled. Before he was treated negatively. Now that he had recovered, everyone wanted him. The young man said he was grateful to all three, but not qualified enough to become their apprentice. Luin Chang summarized that he remains an external disciple. All three were very surprised and upset at the rejection of this talented student. The guy bowed out and said he had to go. The young man was leaving and thought he had made the right decision. The elders appreciate him, but why didn't they say anything about the competition tomorrow, which is an indication of his lack of importance? He thought about how to make the best out of it all. The sun was setting over the horizon, and the guy thought he would decide everything tomorrow after the competition. Morning came and all the disciples of the Sun and Moon sect were called to wake up. All students rested, moved to the competition site. The students stood in teams facing each other. Someone yelled out that the rivals were coming. Muyun Chu appeared along with his companions. The young man noted that the atmosphere here is so masculine. Luin Chang looked at his opponent and decided that he would have to try to execute the grappling technique skill again. Otherwise, he might lose. Luin Chang saw a familiar face. He wouldn't have missed it among 1,000 other faces. Luin Chuan stood still as He Jun walked past him. The young man's heart was ready to jump out. The young man couldn't be mistaken, it was her. The guy walking next to her was Ni Yuan. It turns out that the girl's name is Li Yuan. Together they are called the Golden Boy and the Jasper Maiden. The young man thought that together they were quite strong, but with his talent, he wouldn't lose. Palace Square at the top of the peak of the Lark's Peak. The competitions are officially open. The competitors solemnly lined up in 2 rows opposite each other. Li Yuzhan told her 3 disciples to follow her. One of the disciples is Liu Yi, a small girl tempered by the 8 levels of the realm. Her weapon is a sledgehammer. Ni Yuan, defiantly licking his knife, introduced himself as well and said that he was a master of 7 martial arts. The elder told Ni Yuan not to behave too aggressively. His opponents today are fragile, small girls. If they are harmed today, it will be difficult for them to get married in the future. The audience laughed amicably to support the elder. Luin Chang was watching the fight very closely. Liu Yi told Ni Yuan that she had heard of him as the leader from the Red Maple Forest. The boy asked if she was scared now. He added that if she had heard of him, she should know that he was not one to show mercy. Skillfully spinning his knife, he also added that the best solution for her was to accept defeat. Ni Yuan suggested that she shouldn't risk her countenance. The girl deftly tossed the sledgehammer high up and said she wouldn't take any chances. As the weapon tumbled through the air, she fixed her hair without looking at him and added to try and get him to do something with it. The athlete calmly extended her hand out to the side. The girl told the boy she didn't blame him for his lack of ability. The girl told the guy she didn't blame him for his lack of ability. Ni Yuan, seeing his opponent's skill, became more collected. The start of the contest was announced. The opponents stood opposite each other, studying and making no sudden movements. They began to approach little by little, the weapons in their hands glowing from the excess energy transmitted from their hosts. Luin Chang noticed how swiftly his rival Ni Yuan began to approach. He truly justified the title of the 3 outer heroes. Not many people with supernatural level could develop such speed. Ni Yuan shouted for the young lady to be more careful with him. The young lady retaliated with a crushing blow with her sledgehammer. The onlookers, seeing such a thing, screamed with horror. When the cloud cleared, everyone saw that the arena was damaged, the girl holding a sledgehammer ready to strike again. Ni Yuan desperately fought off the rocks flying towards him with his sword. The guy was in a state of prostration and decided it was a bad thing. There was nowhere to retreat, so he decided to attack. He was a fierce man, and he lunged at his rival, wanting to do her irreparable damage. The girl launched her sledgehammer at Ni Yuan, which rushed towards the targets in the form of a powerful blob of energy. Another moment and the weapons will collide. The sledgehammer is about to hit Ni Yuan. He's already prepared. The warrior realized that an incredible force was rushing at him. His hands were about to get hurt. Ni Yuan realized that this was inevitable and let go of his sword. A sledgehammer with incredible speed, accompanied by a powerful energy charge, met with Ni Yuan. Sword to one side, young man to the other, blood from his mouth a third. The fight was nearing its logical conclusion. The sledgehammer changed trajectory and flew towards the mistress. Liu Yi intercepted the sledgehammer, slung it spectacularly on her shoulder. She looked at her victim with a sense of accomplishment, not a very difficult duty. Ni Yuan, sad and battered, lay in the arena. The red-haired Liu Yi declared her victory and the fight was over. Luin Chang thought that this frail girl had incredible strength. The referee announced that in the first match of the body and mind strengthening competition, the sword section wins. In the second round, Wwang versus He Jolan was announced. Wwang said that since her opponent had the 9th level of martial arts, she would perform without weapons. Wwang said that there is no need to fight, the opponent is very weak, therefore she can refuse to fight. The opponent accepted the offer and declined the fight. The end of the second round has been announced. Wwang won. The elder thought that the competition prepared by the sword sect had revealed the 3 disciples of Jade Lady Yao Jingjing. It seems the Sun and Moon sect is gaining an undeniable victory. The judge announced the last round of the body and mind strengthening competition. The fighter, it was Mujun Chu, who saw the opponent was bewitched by her. It wasn't clear basically how the fight could be fought. It would not be a fight by the rules. The girl said she was Sun Mei, and pointing at her chest added that this was her battle weapon. The girl after that winked slyly at the guy. Usually young men capitulate after that. But this one was not timid. The audience started laughing, thus discouraging the guy from fighting. The young man sighed and blushed with embarrassment. Wwang looked at the groom and thought that he had decided to give up so quickly. How blind she was to fall in love with such a man. Wwang was sad. She saw Luin Chang in the crowd and became even sadder. Crying, the girl thought she should have insisted a little longer. Luin Chang watched the duel and realized that this girl's charm technique was really strong. The elder watched the duel and realized that in such a competition, Mujun Chu was a very bad opponent. It was terrible that the Sun and Moon sect would lose because of him. The elder suddenly had a sudden realization and jumped up from his seat. He turned to Mujun Chu and said that the latter should not have entered the arena. In the third round of the competition, changes were made. Everyone is worried. Who will the elder replace Chu Muyun with? There's no one else left. Juzhan understood what the elder was getting at. The elder turned to Luin Chang and asked, why is he just standing there like that? And he added that now it's the young man's turn to enter the arena. Chu Muyun thought that he was right about Luin Chang. Not only was he not punished, but he was also allowed to participate in such a serious competition. Muyun Chu understood everything, apologized, and invited Luin Chang into the arena. Our hero didn't like it very much, but he had no choice. Luin Chang entered the arena and apologized for being inattentive. Juzhan saw the young man and recognized him. He was the one who had cured her in the cave. He was even more handsome now. The elder began to suspect that Luin Chang might be acquainted with Yao Jinjing. If this guy with incredible abilities could be seduced, it would be the end. The elder announced that if Luin Chang won, he would be sent to represent the Sun and Moon sect. Juzhan said that Sun Mei should surrender. The girl marveled. She told the elder that she would never lose. The elder agreed to let her come out to fight. The girl thanked the elder and prepared to give Luin Chang a fight. Sun Mei said that her charm skills had been practiced to perfection. She is ready to begin. The audience waiting for the most interesting fight, mouths open. Luin Chang prepared himself. The girl began to bewitch and enchant him. Her charms had no effect on the guy. It was like he was immune. He asked if she could do anything else more serious. Sun Mei once again winked at the boy. He didn't even bat an eye. The girl really didn't like her opponent's reaction. Luin Chang apologized and said that her charm technique was incredible. But here's the problem with his heart. His heart is already taken and belongs to another. Sun Mei didn't understand how this was possible. There is no such thing as this Luin Chang. She was determined not to give up and win at all costs. The entire audience was struck dumb. And only Luin Chang, with that immunity of his, was in no way willing to give up. Sun Mei thought that until now, there was no man who could resist her charms. Juzhan sighed sadly. The elder thought that when she had been with this guy in the cave, she had already realized then that he was a rather unusual person. Luin Chang asked if her mental attack was over. He added that it was now his turn. The young man brought his puppet onto the stage and took out a gold plate. The guy said he was starting. Luin Chang let his puppet go forward. Sun Mei was unprepared. Luin Chang threw the golden plates in her direction. Sun Mei had to maneuver to evade the attack. She thought that if she managed to touch his body, she could snatch that talisman from him. We have to dodge and get closer. The doll approached from behind and stuck a finger into Sun Mei's back. The girl thought it was not very good. The doll let an electrical charge go straight through her finger into the girl's body. Sun Mei stood as if dumbfounded and couldn't move. The next instant she admitted defeat. Luin Chang was able to win the third round of the competition. The audience chanted the winner's name and congratulated him. The elders said that this young man was worthy of becoming a favorite disciple of the Sun and Moon sect. In the end, with a score of 2-1, the Sun and Moon sect won. It was decided to place the winners of the competition on the honor board. Luin Chang thought about the girl from the cave. She is the strongest disciple of the sect and a great elder. The young men were talking. The girl said the young man's elder is afraid she will win him over to her side. The boy said they are just taking advantage of people. Luin Chang added that when he was in dire straits, the Sun and Moon sect didn't value him as much as they do now. Therefore, he is also benefiting from their resources. The girl said that their relationship wouldn't lead to anything good. She'd already told him that. The young man said that if she wasn't asking for responsibility, there was no need for him to feel guilty. The guy said not to let her misunderstand him. He's not here for her. He even tried to avoid the contest. The girl said, okay, if that's the case. The elder showed the bracelet and said that it was a high-level item, a heaven and earth bracelet. Since she had reached the third level of the divine sea, she no longer needed it. As an apology, the girl gave this bracelet to Luin Chang. Luin Chang thanked and said that it was not worth it. In fact, His heart was already full. He didn't even think of being together with Heju-jan. The girl tossed the bracelet into the guy's hands. She said he could use it. The hero's congregation has more powerful masters than the Sun and Moon sect. And as she left, she added that if he came empty-handed, he might lose. Luin Chang kept the bracelet. The pensive young man walked back to the sect. The elder began to inquire what the conversation with the elder of the competing plan was about. The guy said it was no big deal. We talked about life, about family. The girl said she liked him and gave him something as a token of her appreciation. And the young man showed the elder the bracelet. Maybe she's trying to lure him into her sect. The elder said Luin Chang shouldn't do that, he's his disciple. They had an agreement. Luin Chang said that he did not give an answer and does not want to betray the Sun and Moon sect. The elder showed the young man the weapon and said that it was an earth spirit weapon called Blue Rain. It is much more valuable than this bracelet. Since Luin Chang has raised the sect's reputation today, he hands this weapon to the young man. The boy accepted the bow from the elder's hands and thanked him. Luin Chang sat in his room and meditated. In his past life, he had seen so many different artifacts. The young man thought, this level 7 body, these 2 items would be enough for now. 2 days later, someone knocked on our hero's door. It was Liao's brother. He said that we should come out immediately. All members of the heroes' convention are waiting at the foot of the mountain. The young man thanked him and said he would come. Brother Liao mumbled back that there were rumors that you and Jing were quite close. The guy figured that Liao had come here to learn about Jing. Liao turned to Luin Chang and said that he wanted to ask him. Luin Chang replied that he was not his friend or relative, so he would not answer questions. He added that maybe Liao was angry because the elder had met with him yesterday. Brother Liao boiled up and was about to deal with Luin Chang. Luin Chang decided to use the divine dragon and elephant technique. The first movement is irresistible. Their furious fists clashed and there was a release of energy. Brother Liao boasted that he possessed 9th level supernatural strength, and Luin Chang is just a pathetic adept of the outer door. The moment the opponent's fists met, Luin Chang's energy was so strong that it was transmitted to his opponent, and he experienced a very intense pain. He had to cry out. Liao's arm took on an unnatural shape and sagged. It was broken in several places. Luin Chang was emotionally calm. He headed towards Brother Liao. Liao realized that he had gotten himself into trouble, but he couldn't understand how such a thing was possible. Luin Chang explained that there was no need to boast about his position. It wouldn't help anyway. If he tried to attack from the sidelines next time, he wouldn't get away with a simple fracture. Everyone on the outside watched and wondered how the young man was able to defeat an adept at the 9th level of supernatural power. Everyone in the neighborhood already knew that Liao Huaming had been injured by Luin Chang. Everyone was stunned by the news. They started asking how could he lose? How could a 7th level martial artist win against a 9th level supernatural power user? Wwang asked Luin Chang if it was true that he had beaten Brother Liao. The judge said to ask an elder to replace you because of your injury. Liao said it's a common fracture. He has a special ointment of the highest quality. It will take 16 days to reach the temple. In that time, the arm will be fully recovered. The judge told Liao to take care of his wife and not to make mistakes. Brother Liao began to explain that he was fighting for his girlfriend's honor. Therefore, he had innocently suffered. Liao took offense and left. The young man keeping order was unwavering. The elder said it was time to move out. She didn't know anything about the broken arm yet. For 15 days, the crew traveled to their destination. During this time, Luin Chang was able to rise to the 8th level of martial arts. Tiger and Dragon Mountains, Confucius Temple. Wwang cheerfully announced that they had arrived at their destination. We can get off now. The elder said they have 2 hours to learn the rules of the competition. She will meet with the local elders. For now, everyone is free to go. The team froze in place and listened attentively to the commander. The team decided to go and watch the other competitors compete. The young people approached the large arena. There were a lot of participants and spectators. The audience watched the performances and took note of the new techniques. One of the athletes flew by. He had a very aggressive opponent. He was a very big guy with a rustic look. Wwang thought something was wrong. She asked Luin Chang if he thought that guy had lost intentionally. She explained why she felt that way. The warrior who now stood with sword in hand was clearly strong. It was dangerous to fight him. So the opponent, realizing this, lost on purpose. The people nearby began to look back at Wwang. Someone said that she shouldn't judge Zhao Tao. It's very dangerous to behave like that in these parts. No one will support her. The girl said she was from the Sun and Moon sect, and added that people of low intelligence should not give their advice. The interested party is deluded, and the outsider sees clearly. Everyone pounced on Wei Wwang and rebuked her. They said they didn't know of such a sun and moon sect. It must be a very small sect. Zhang Tao is a top disciple of the Fresh Wind and Rain Palace. He has the 20th level of supernatural strength. The girl was ready to cry from resentment. This is when the screamers were stopped by Brother Liao. He said that the Sun and Moon sect is not a bunch of scum. The people around me decided not to bicker anymore. Zhao Tao shouted from the arena that he was the one who bad-mouthed the Sun and Moon sect. What's the big deal? Lao immediately flew towards the arena. He was furious and was ready to give Zhao Tao a beating. Wushuang cheered him on and shouted that he did well. Zhao Tao drew his sword and prepared to repel the attack. Zhao Tao thrust his sword forward. Liao fisted his opponent's weapon. With the next blow, Liao sent the offender into free flight. Onlookers were shocked by what they saw. Zhao Tao jumped up and couldn't understand who this attacker was. He's all level 20 supernatural strength. He shouldn't lose to some unknown upstart. The local hero focused and decided to continue the fight. He rushed to the attack with a victory cry. Brother Liao was ready to meet the enemy. Zhao Tao was striking the young man very quickly, but the young man was very fast and effective in evading the blade. The blows did not reach the target. Liao at the same time managed to land bare-handed strikes on his opponent. The spectators watched with bated breath. Could this be a worthy opponent for our Zhao Tao? Someone in the crowd noticed that Liao had a problem with his right hand and shouted it out to Zhao Tao. Liao realized that he might have a harder time now. Luin Chang also noticed that Liao was working with one hand and thought that in 2 weeks, Liao's injured arm had not yet fully recovered. Zhao Tao realized everything and decided to change his battle tactics. Zhao Tao decided to attack his opponent's sore arm. Liao now had a harder time repelling attacks. It was harder to attack himself. The enemy recognized his weakness. Liao thought that hard times had come now. He found it increasingly difficult to hold back the onslaught of the enemy. Liao misses with a leg kick to the side of the head. It was unexpected. Liao was unable to stay on his feet and flew off to the side. Everyone started congratulating Zhao Tao and saying that he was still the best. Luin Chang suddenly entered the arena. He began to insult and hurt Zhao Tao, clearly provoking him. The young man said that the athlete who had just performed was a genius. He practically fought with one hand and was on the same level as your brother Zhao Tao. And this Zhao Tao himself couldn't notice that his opponent was injured until he was prompted from the crowd. Zhao Tao replied that it didn't matter. Luin Chang said that the man must think he is very cool. Another fighter appeared and said that he shouldn't have interfered with other people's competition. Luin Chang said that if they think they are tough, let them come out to fight. The crowd murmured with indignation. They shouted that it was Zi Chen, who possessed third-level supernatural strength. Zhao Tao laughed because this kid had challenged Xing Chen. Luin Chang stood on the podium as if nothing had happened. The one peered at Luin Chang with anger and said that he would give him a chance to retract his words. Luin Chang said that in that case, he would also give the young man a chance to retract his words. The young man realized there was no way to avoid the collision. Wushuang wanted to know what was the story behind Zi Chen. It was explained to her that Zi Chen was a brilliant disciple of the Holy Church. He is only a 7th-level martial artist, and he is already a member of the inner circle of elders of the Holy Church. In a ranking of experts in the field of body hardening published by the Holy Church, he ranks 3rd. Luin Chang was said to have no chance of winning. Wushuang was upset that because of her rash words, she had caused great trouble to the Sun and Moon sect. The elders gathered in the gazebo. The elder with the glass of water feels sad. The speaker said his siblings are now in the arena, so he has to go off and see if anything untoward has happened to them. Another elder also expressed such a desire. The Thunder sect elder was discussing the talents of the various participants. The Sun and Moon sect was the only one in the rankings far from even the 200th place. Yijujan decided to go watch the fights as well. A few more elders followed her. Su Ming, the 7th patriarch of the Holy Church, said that they would probably all go to watch the competition now. And so it was agreed. All the elders went towards the arena. At this time, there were 2 challengers in the arena. One of them was announced. It was Luin Chang. The young man bowed in appreciation and out of respect. They told him from downstairs that it wouldn't end well, so he beat up Liao. Now he's causing a lot of trouble. Why is Luin Chang doing this? Does he really think that the Sun and Moon sect belongs to him? Luin Chang told his interlocutor to show respect before saying anything. The interlocutor said that Luin Chang doesn't know what respect is, because he had never shown respect to the Sun and Moon sect. Luin Chang looked his interlocutor straight in the eyes. Wei Wushuang and Chu Muyun also watched the developments with interest. The young man asked Chu Muyun, "Did he hurt you again?" The one replied that his injury had nothing to do with Luin Chang. Wasn't he injured by Zhao Tao's brother? Wwang asked that the young man not do it now. He answered her to shut up. The interlocutor said 6 that at such a critical moment, Luin Chang did not pay attention to the greatness of the sect at all. Then he should be taught a lesson. The young man shouted out that Luin Chang did not harm him in any way. On the contrary, he was protecting him. Before jumping into the arena, he hadn't been prepared for such a development last time. The opponent only remained silent and did not give his answer, so added that they were competing and Zhao Tao heard him. Zhao Tao said that just now a disciple of the Sun and Moon sect defeated him in a competition. A little lesson wouldn't hurt. The instigator said that Zhao Chao's brother had done nothing wrong. Luin Chang repeated again for the interlocutor to show respect when speaking to him. The opponent objected. Instead of trying to work things out, he just keeps creating more problems. Luin Chang was silent this time in response, but he realized that there would be no need for hand-to-hand combat this time. This was a case where words were not enough. Wwang covered her eyes with her hands in fear. Luin Chang thought that this was not good. He was a third-level expert of the Divine Sea Realm. The young man realized that he wouldn't be able to overpower him with his physical body. He lost his balance along with his doll. The opponent motioned at the young man. He decided to teach a lesson today on behalf of his master. He wants him to know that he is a member of the Sun and Moon sect. Luin Chang was already tired of these meaningless conversations. Just then, Elder Jing intervened in the conversation. She tried to stop Luin Chang's rival. She told Lu Yiran to stop. She added that regardless of who was right or wrong, if one wanted to teach a lesson, one should wait until they returned to the clan. The young man objected that it was his clan's business and the girl had nothing to do with it. The girl fell silent and turned away. The interlocutor said that if he has problems with Jing now, how can he get along with her in the future? And it has nothing to do with Luin Chang. The young man clenched his fists with tension. He warned Luin Chang that today was his lucky day. Don't do anything reckless, otherwise he wouldn't be so patient anymore. The elder said that only a 7-year-old child was capable of doing such a thing. People like him are unable to even pass through the outer door of the Jade House. The other elder added that the weak are characterized by a tailspin. He is sadly pathetic today. Luin Chang became embittered at such words. He said he would remember their words. In their eyes, the strong can turn wrong into right. A year later, Luin Chang will let Li Yuzhan know what a true genius is. The onlookers looked at the young man in amazement. They listened and laughed back. How could one challenge a true genius like Li Yuzhan? The elder looked at him intently. He said he was going to return to the clan and offer expulsion from the sect. But now he's decided to give it a chance. He was willing to wait a year for him to use the full extent of his talent to show what genius was. The elder told Li Yuran that it was time to leave and not to worry about a child who didn't realize the limits of his own ignorance. It would be impossible to teach him proper behavior. Another elder said that the one should realize that the sky is higher than he is. The girl reassured the young man by saying that he was no less qualified. However, a hurried man is easily broken. He stopped her with a movement of his hand and said it would be best if she didn't talk to him right now. Everyone started telling the girl that even after all the help she had given him, this guy still didn't know what he was doing. The elder thought he was just trying to keep his distance from her. Luin Chang pointed at the young man and told him to go up to the arena. He hadn't had any fun with him yet. That one looked sternly back at Luin Chang's words. He replied to Luin Chang that he would only fight with one hand. If in 10 moves he can hold on, the victory is his. Everyone was interested in watching this battle. How dare he challenge Ji Chen? It's unfathomable. Luin Chang thought that he had never been humiliated in his past life. Now that he had been reborn, he would not allow himself to be underestimated. The young man calmed down and began to silently prepare himself for the upcoming battle. He was calm and poised. No one could make him mad. After a short meditation, he behaved differently. He showed that he was number one and that he was not to be trifled with. Everyone saw the 5th level of the Avatar realm, a 7th level tempered body martial art. Who is this? The elder thought his qualifications were very good, but she had underestimated him. Luin Chang was fully assembled and ready to fight. The amount of energy hovering over him left his opponent with no hope. The elder noticed the golden glow above Luin Chang and thought that this guy didn't practice any purification techniques. The opponent saw the refining technique and became very tense. Body hardening and refining cultivation belong to 2 different branches. But this Luin Chang was practicing 2 techniques at the same time at the body hardening level. He also thought that Luin Chang was using 2 techniques at the same time while being at the 5th level of the Avatar realm. Ji Chen thought that it was very strange that such a powerful person did not rank high in the body hardening stage. but one can't run away because there will be no future in the church. Ji Chen decided to go for it in this fight and dispatch his opponent with a single punch. Ji Chen activated his battle dragon, and everyone saw that he was now a triple master. He is using a secret technique, now he must win. Luin Chang was calm. Ji Chen was inviting the guy to fight him. Ji Chen directed all of his strength and dragon power at Luin Chang. Our hero tensed his fist and prepared to repel the attack. The clash between the opponents was very powerful. The energy output of the impact was amazing. Luin Chang countered the dragon and was able to hold his position and not retreat. Everyone noticed that the leading dragons instantly burst into flames. The elder was startled and shouted for Ji Chen to urgently retreat. Jing Jing stopped her colleague and said that they were still in the middle of the competition. Therefore, there was no need to interfere. Ji Chen decided to retreat, but the enemy's fire energy consumed him completely. Everyone was horrified by what they saw. There's hardly anything left of Ji Chen, just armor and bones. Luin Chang stood calmly in the arena. The fight is over. He said he was glad to see it. Everyone was shouting, "Brother Ji Chen?" They were discussing that Ji Chen had been defeated by a single punch. How is that possible? The young man shouted that Luin Chang was the strongest. The young man thought that this Luin Chang was only a 7th-level martial artist, but he's already so terrifyingly strong, and shows no mercy. What could happen to him in a year's time? He rushed towards Luin Chang in the arena. It had to stop now, so Jing Jing decided to take action. She stood between the young men and made it clear that she shouldn't touch Luin Chang right now. The guy told Yao Jing that it was impermissible to get in his way twice. It's going too far. Jing Jing replied that it would become impermissible if he constantly retracted his words to his fellow disciples. The girl realized that words alone would not be enough here, and she would have to use her fighting techniques. She directed her energy at her opponent and told him to fuck off. Luin Chang noticed that Jing Jing was defending him again. The boy thought that even though this girl acts like she hates him, she can't help but live up to his expectations. Every time he was in danger, she helped him. Luin Chang pointed out that she really wasn't like other people. Everyone was yelling to get out of here, because if the battle starts now, the whole place will be destroyed. The elder shouted to stop immediately. He stood between the opponents and tried to stop the bloodshed. The young man didn't understand why the elder was interfering. Luin Chang is an adept of the Sun and Moon clan. He had just massacred Jing Chen. The elder said that in the tournament, life and death are determined by fate, and what Li Yuran is doing today is shameful. Li Yuran fell silent in response. An elder told Luin Chang that he is very arrogant, but there is still someone who supports him. The young man still won't be able to catch up with Li Yuran, even if he takes a whole year to do so. Luin Chang only remained silent in response. No one could understand what was on his mind. The elder left and Yao Jing approached the young man. She said that he is too aggressive right now. Li Yuran's position in the Sun and Moon sect is far from what he can achieve. Yao Jing called Luin Chang with her to the Sword sect. As long as he follows her, he will not be threatened by anything. He is still too weak, and perfection is not only a matter of strength, but also of heart. Luin Chang was surprised by her behavior. She's a nobody to him. Why should he follow her? Why does she protect him? The young man added that he has never relied on women. The girl was very offended by Luin Chang's words. She turned silently and walked away. Luin Chang knew she wanted the best for him, but he can't accept her offer. Nor can he take her with him. If he retreats here, he won't be able to move on. Luin Chang approached the stranger and asked where the battle ranking published by the church was. The stranger told me where to go to see. Luin Chang thought that if he wanted to improve his improvement, he needed to clearly understand where he was. The young man walked over to where the stranger was pointing. The guy looked and thought that he had just defeated Ji Chen, and already the ranking had updated. The intelligence network of the church should not be underestimated. Luin Chang approached the girl and wanted to ask her a question. The girl said she would be happy to answer any questions. The guy said he wanted to challenge the first one on the list. How do you find him? The girl was startled. Did the young man really want to challenge Nalan Xiaofeng? The interviewee explained that Nalan Xiaofeng is ranked first among all the body-hardening students, and Luin Chang only has an 8-level body-hardening martial skill. The young man thanked the girl for her concern and asked only for the address. The girl pointed to the outside guards of the church who are responsible for updating the list. If you want to challenge someone, you have to walk up and sign in. The guards will approach the other party. If the other party agrees, the challenge will be accepted. After that, the day of battle would come, so everyone would make the necessary preparations. The young man thanked the helpful girl. 7. Luin Chang had a plan. The guards asked, "Who is Luin Chang? Why was he ahead of Ji Chen?" Everyone was also surprised by this placement in the rankings. The guard stated that he does not know all the details. He is just following the instructions of the elders. We have to be patient for a while. Someone in the crowd said he wasn't sure about the veracity of the rankings either. Otto turned out to be Nalan Xiaofeng. He said he wanted to challenge Luin Chang. He'll teach that upstart a lesson. Nalan Xiaofeng added that power ranking is more than just a ranking. It is an honor and recognition of our qualifications. The young man said that he wanted to see if Luin Chang had the courage to accept the challenge. Luin Chang thought, it's good that he has caused so much discussion. It saves him from having to look for it. People were discussing this Luin Chang. It was said that he took out Ji Chen with one punch. Someone in the crowd said that he couldn't believe that there was such a strong person with a hardened body skill in this world. He was told that the 7 elders of the Holy Church were witnesses. They said that Luin Chang had even practiced the secret technique. He is only at the 8th level of the tempered body martial art, but after using the secret technique, he had reached the 5th level of avatar. The young man thought that if he could raise his refinement to such a terrifying level, it was definitely a top-quality technique. We should get it. He decided to recharge with medicine. These pills contain chi energy. After taking them for 2 days, the meridians will absorb chi energy from the outside world twice as fast. The guy decided to promise Luin Chang, if he dared to come and win, to give those pills to Luin Chang. And if Luin Chang loses, he will demonstrate his secret technique of perfection. People started placing bets on this fight and generally whether Luin Chang would come in. Nalan thought that since he had the ability to instantly memorize things, it would be enough for him to watch and memorize the secret technique once. Nalan decided that when he was done, Luin Chang would be as useless as everyone else. He would just have to deal with him. The guard said he would send a challenge to Luin Chang, but it was unknown if he would accept it. Then Luin Chang appeared unexpectedly and said that he was accepting the challenge. The young man was glad that he would still get a lot of useful pills for completing the task he had planned for himself. Nalan Xiaofeng interjected, "Did Luin Chang really agree to fight?" Luin Chang said that he agreed to the fight and the terms. After all, he would never be able to defeat Luin Chang. It's time for the competition. Elder said the reason the Holy Church is holding this competition is to select the most talented students who represent the eastern part of the continent. Everyone asked what's going to happen next. The elder pulled out a green card. The card read Nalan Xiaofeng versus Luin Chang. The elder announced that Nalan Xiaofeng would teach Luin Chang a lesson today. Jingjing told her female students if Luin Chang's life was in danger, for them to help the young man. Elder suggested that the tournament continue so that the best prizes go to the best. The elder noticed that there was a change in the green card. He looked at the card and muttered in surprise, Nalan Xiaofeng died in battle. Everyone was terribly surprised and shocked by such news. A mute question froze on everyone's lips. Luin Chang stood nonchalantly in front of everyone. He controlled his puppet, which held his opponent's skeleton in its hand. The young man's fist glowed and emitted a powerful energy charge. There was nothing left of his opponent, just a pile of bones that lay on the bleachers in front of all the spectators. Luin Chang reasoned that against Ji Chen, he had used 70% of his strength. Against Nalan Xiaofeng, he used all of his strength. He didn't last long. The opponent was not as good as expected. After the victorious battle, the young man came to the guard for his due reward. Nalan Xiaofeng's teacher Nalan Xiaofeng appeared and began to call out to his disciple. He grabbed Luin Chang by the scruff of his neck and began to ask if his ward was okay. Luin Chang said that the man had died in battle. He didn't want to deal with him completely, but Nalan left him no choice. Elder Su fainted. Another elder said that Luin Chang had just massacred Ji Chen and Nalan Xiaofeng. This is no way to behave anymore. This way will do no good. The young man said he was doing as the elder said. The weak should behave with their tails between their legs. That's what the elder teaches. Another elder said that if Luin Chang continued to behave like this, he would be expelled from the mountain. Luin Chang said only if they left together. The guy added that it's not up to him to kick him out of the cult. Luin Chang walked away, and his opponent was still shouting something afterward for a long time. The elder tried to calm the heated young man and said that there were plenty of opportunities to teach him a lesson. Luin Chang is in her room sitting on her bed meditating. It's a full moon outside. The energy around the young person is energized in a positive way. The guy thinks that these pills were very useful. If he could absorb all of them, his refinement would rise to at least 3 levels. The young man heard someone sneaking around. These people dare not do anything to him during the day to preserve his dignity, but at night they decided to sneak up on him. Luin Chang noticed them. The boy noted that there were 2 or 3 of them. He took the magic bracelet, the gold plate, and his doll. The guy threw the plate at the night alien. It was a girl and she shrieked in surprise. She was immediately bound with ropes, and a battle doll rushed towards her. The other two aliens rushed to the girl's aid. Luin Chang thought it was a prank by someone from the church. He prepared to make a stealthy escape to avoid trouble. The guy broke through the wall and ran outside. Luin Chang was running away from the city and thought that now he would have to find another way out. The young man found himself near a cliff at the edge of the forest. The boy stopped. He was not alone here at this hour of the night. It was an elder with his warriors. He asked where Luin Chang was in such a hurry. The forces were unequal. The elder's attitude was aggressive. He said that Luin Chang had massacred his best student today, so we'll have to settle accounts and pay for it in blood. Luin Chang said that Nailin Xiaofeng's insatiable greed was to blame. What Luin Chang did was for the people. Luin Chang asked why isn't Li Yuran here? The elder said that he himself would now clean up the mess as he sees it. The elder commanded that everyone attack the young man. The guy was standing on the edge of a cliff and his foes were approaching him. Luin Chang thought that this was a very familiar picture. It's happened to him before. Luin Chang announced that they would all die today. The guy was already standing at the very edge of the cliff. Memorable moments from his life flashed before his eyes, something that made a big impression on him, and he jumped off the cliff head first. The cliff was high, there was no chance of surviving. The elder didn't know how to react to that, so he had won? He looked down. There was nothing to be seen. The servants reported that they didn't find the body, but even if Luin Chang had a high level of perfection, he wouldn't be able to use it. The elder said it was very good. He shouted that his disciple Xiao Feng had been avenged. Elder said he thanked everyone for attending this meeting and welcomed all the talents to join their church. Yao Jing and her female disciples listened to this performance and couldn't understand why they were invited here at this time. The servant whispered something to the elder. The elder says that's all for today, we can go. The girl thanked for everything, but said that neither she nor her female disciples were going to leave the sword sect. The girls bowed out and went to their rooms. They were met by Li Yuran. Yao Jing didn't expect to meet him in such a place at such a time. She wondered what he was doing here. Elder Su had been in plain sight all night. Then who was Li Yuran meeting with? A suspicion crept into the girl's mind. Yao Jing suggested that the girls go to the disciples' residence. She reasoned that Elder Su Ming wasn't stupid enough to fight Luin Chang, who was only at the 8th level of martial Dao. Li Yuran looked at the trail of the fleeing girls and thought that they had really run to Luin Chang. But the church seemed to have already taken action. He thought it was just one stone in the road and the church had put so much effort into it. Li Yuran regretted Yao Jing, but since the church had already taken action, Luin Chang was already gone. The young men approached Luin Chang's room and shouted at him. Then they knocked on the door. Everyone thought it odd that the young man didn't respond. Suddenly, someone showed up from the next room and said it was very late and sleepy. Other students came out and started saying they had been woken up. Yao Jing didn't give up and asked everyone, "Where is Luin Chang?" The girl in the next room said he wasn't here. Yao Jing asked her, since their rooms are next to each other, she should know where the young man is. Ta replied that she had just woken up. Maybe her brother Liao Humian knows. Yao Jing told Liao Humian to come out. Liao appeared and asked what Yao Jing was doing here. The girl repeated her question, "Where is Luin Chang?" Liao Humian said that the girl is hurting his feelings. She knows how he feels about her. Yao Jing said, "We'll talk later. Where is Luin Chang now? Who knows?" This Liao couldn't calm down and was talking nonsense about feelings and relationships. The girl interrogated what kind of relationship we were talking about. Liao explained that the 7th elder of the sword sect had openly fought with Li Yuran for Luin Chang. What would the people around him think in this case? Everyone began to speculate that maybe really Luin Chang really is Jade Lady's boyfriend. Liao continued, Luin Chang was being so defiant because he had fallen in love with the Jade Lady. If Yao Jing is so protective of him, then they have a secret connection. Luin Chang behaved like this because he felt Yao Jing's support behind him. Therefore, he must die at the foot of the cliff. The girl slapped the young man in the face and said that her relationship with Luin Chang shouldn't be anyone's concern. The girl said that she had long wanted to ask Elder Su when his heart was eaten by a dog and he was now living like a rat. Yao Jing became very upset and left. Liao ran after her, but she paid no attention to the young man. Yao Jing decided to go to the cliff. She rushed towards the warriors there in a rage. The girl scattered around anyone who tried to interfere with her. Yao Jing walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down. Suddenly, someone put a hand on her shoulder. The girl flinched. It turned out to be Elder Su. Yao Jing was very surprised. He said not to jump down. If you do, you'll die. The girl said that she now understood how they made Luin Chang die. She said she felt very sorry for the young man. Tears ran down the young lady's cheeks. She thought that if she had insisted and the boy had stayed, this would not have happened. Elder Su said no one had heard anything about Luin Chang. What's the use of him? He's just an 8th grade martial arts student. He's worthless. Elder Su told the girl to go back to the sword sect. Elder Su said she couldn't just leave, so he sent the villains after her. The villains had almost caught up with Yao Jing. But then the unexpected happened. Yao Jing's students showed up. The girl with the sledgehammer cleared the area in one fell swoop. The girl said she doesn't need the church's attention. She is not an 8-step martial arts student. Elder Su said that their church has no shortage of geniuses. If you leave today, you will regret it in the future. Yao Jing said that she would regret it if she stayed. The next morning came. The patriarch inquired about Yao Jing leaving. It was reported to him that it was. The patriarch said that no one could be blamed for Ji Chen's death. After all, in the tournament, life and death are determined by the heavens. Su Ming shouldn't blame Luin Chang for Ji Chen's death. Elder Su told the patriarch that he was admitting his mistake. The holy maiden wondered if Yao Jing was really leaving the temple because of Luin Chang. Elder Su said that he had seen it with his own eyes. The holy maiden told the patriarch that they didn't need someone like Yao Jing in the heavenly realm. She disregarded the big picture for her own interests. The patriarch agreed. But from now on, all activities of the sword sect are forbidden. All present said they understood the patriarch's order. The holy maiden asked how preparations were going for tomorrow's tournament. The holy maiden has been informed that everything is ready. Tomorrow there will be an official competition to determine the top 3 from the body and avatar hardening areas. It's been 3 days. They have announced the closing of the tournament. There are now 6 winners of the Holy Church tournament. The top 3 in body hardening. The second 3 are in the avatar area. Everyone congratulate these 6 people. They are the most powerful beings in all stages of development on the face of the Eastern continent. And now the most solemn part of the competition has been announced. The one we've been waiting for so long. The performance of the Holy Maiden. The Holy Maiden took out 6 pieces of jewelry and said that this competition was very fierce and she would keep a close eye on everything. The maiden added that all of you are a tremendous force in our heavenly realm against the barbarians. You 6 proud sons of God who have a bright future ahead of you. And now for the prize giving. Virgo added that she hopes they continue to work hard and come up with even greater achievements. Virgo said she would start handing out awards. Someone in the crowd asked the maiden, "Is it true that Luin Chang was destroyed by the Holy Church?" The Holy Maiden looked sternly into the crowd. A stranger appeared to ask the question. The Holy Maiden asked what was wrong with this young man. The guy said that he had recently seen Luin Chang's performance with Nalan. Luin Chang was capable of ranking first in body hardening. But right now, Luin Chang has never appeared anywhere. Rumor has it that he was massacred that night. Everyone thought about it and decided that it was strange that Luin Chang was not at the competition. Is this really how the church treats disciples? Elder Su said that Luin Chang was indeed victorious in battles, but he is very vicious and ruthless. Elder Su added that their church has always been open and honest and has never acted shamelessly. The church does not know where the young man is now. He also said that if someone disagrees with the outcome of the trial, they can challenge it. None of the people wanted to challenge the church. Everyone began to think that it was only Luin Chang's problem where he had gone. Still, there was a brave man who wanted to spar. Everyone began to say that it was the 9th heavenly thunder. The Holy Maiden stood in the arena and what was going on around her was not part of her plans. A daredevil in the crowd told her that the church had so intimidated everyone that no one dares to tell the truth. No wonder Luin Chang disappeared, because in a fair fight, he would have won. His opponent said he's about to show who's stronger. The young man began to accumulate his martial energy around him. His opponent did the same. Things were heating up. The fighter was ready to make a leap on his opponent. The opponent channeled a powerful beam of energy. The warrior clenched his teeth and decided to put all his power and rage into the blow. A flash illuminated the arena. The boy shrank back in fright. He asked what was the point of bullying the weak. In front of him stood Luin Chang himself, calm and unperturbed. Elder Su covered himself in cold sweat and muttered that it was impossible. Luin Chang thanked the young man and said that he would take it from here. Left alone with Luin Chang, the martial artist asked what the latter wanted to do. Our hero said he wasn't interested in him. Luin Chang said that he had come back to challenge him and pointed his finger in the direction. Luin Chang pointed his finger at Wei Ran. Elder Su said that Luin Chang dare not interrupt the award ceremony and ignore the rules of the church, and also wants to challenge Wei Ran, the second in the Avatar realm. Lu spoke calmly, confidence in his voice. He said that the rules gave him the right to challenge and confirmed that the church wanted him killed in the middle of the night. All the other contestants stood in a cold sweat and could not believe their eyes and ears. The elder was on the verge of a breakdown, and upon hearing this screamed that he hadn't met Lu last night and therefore couldn't have killed him. Those watching couldn't figure out what surprised them more, Lu's audacity or the betrayal of the church. Lu laughed back at the elder and mocked him in front of the others. The young man swept up that he didn't say which night he was going to be killed, and thus proved that the elder was really going to end Lu's life. Su shouted that he would beat the young man to death and rushed towards him. They stood head-on, the elder ready to remove Lu when the other wouldn't even look at him. At the last moment, the holy maiden managed to stop Su and told him to leave in shame to the house of the elders. Su objected to her, unable to leave as if because he had to deal with everyone present first. Suddenly, the elder received an instant yet strong punch on his lips. It was Lu who didn't want to tolerate the elder's insolence. His punch caused a breeze to rise around Su, and splinters flew in different directions. The elder was bleeding from his nose and mouth, dumbfounded at what the young man was allowing himself. Those watching had never seen such a thing. They couldn't believe what had just happened before their eyes. No one had ever beaten an elder in public before. Su was burning with rage. Never before had he been humiliated like this by Lu in front of an audience. He was ready to destroy the young man. And now he's already flying like a comet, moving away from everyone else. It looks like the holy maiden has decided to send Elder Su away. The maiden asked Lu Xingchen not to repeat such stupid things because he is walking on very thin ice. She doesn't believe that Lu's strength is enough to overpower the elder. The young man spoke as if with derision and confidence in his words. He believes the church could do a lot more good. Such words angered the Holy Virgin, and she promised not to let Lu insult the Holy Church again. The young man thinks that the Virgin just doesn't want to admit the truth about the Holy Church. But he will not stop there and will make the church pay for what they did that night. That's when Wei Ran came up to them. Lu insulted him and only blamed the House of Bright Moon for Wei not taking first place. Saint Maiden, it seemed like she had never heard such insolence from someone like Lu Xingcheng. The young man promised that he would give it all back when Su Hu cornered him. He wants to start with Wei Ran specifically. Wei Ran responded to Lu's audacity with bravery and confidence in his abilities. He thinks he can easily defeat the guy. Here, one of the people watching advised Wei Ran not to hold back and prove to everyone that Lu was no danger. Lu was just as ready to fight as his opponent and set the start of the fight himself. The holy maiden who was looking at all of this noticed the similarities between Lu and Yao Jin. They both have no self-awareness and consider themselves to be both heaven and earth. The maiden tried to stop Lu and offered to admit defeat, but there was no way he wanted to back down. Wei Ran didn't wait for the first strike and shouted to accumulate strength. Flames rose up behind him and lightning-like clusters of energy swirled around his body. Wei Ran used a level 2 divine skill and stood in a stance, ready to strike. Lu Xingchen didn't even look at him, so confident was he. There wasn't a single bit of fear in him. The competitors looked at Lu with astonishment. They didn't understand how the young man would be able to defend himself when his avatar was 6 steps inferior to Wei Ran. No one believed in Lu. Wei Ran, with a smirk on his face, gave Lu a final warning and once again advised him to immediately admit defeat. The young man didn't say anything. He continued to stand like this without moving, his back to Wei Ran. Wei Ran scattered and was in the sky above Lu. In a moment, he would have already destroyed the young man once and for all. And so Wei strikes first. He sent a fiery comet hurtling towards the similarly standing Lu. Wei Ran's teacher shouted in support of him, how helpless Lu was and wouldn't be able to stand up to his opponent. Lu Xingchen was covered by a giant fire mushroom from the explosion. After such a blow, there shouldn't be a wet spot left of him. Wei Ran approached the fire and reiterated that Lu was too weak to do him any harm, asking to summon doctors for his rival. After winning, he asked the Holy Virgin to continue awarding and announcing the results of the competition. After seeing everything that happened, the Holy Maiden told everyone how foolish Lu had acted and the result he had gotten. From what he heard next, the Holy Maiden turned pale and stood in a stupor. Lu Xingchen's voice rang out from the blazing fire. And there he stands amidst the flames, saying that Wei Ran can't burn him even if Lu stands still and doesn't move. Suddenly, a giant dragon appeared from behind his back. Everyone began to flee from what was happening.